Texas, 1925. A dirt farm. No electricity, no running water, 12 hungry children. One of them would become the most decorated soldier in American history. He would kill 50 German soldiers in a single hour, win the Medal of Honor, become a Hollywood star. But first he had to survive childhood, and then he had to lie his way into a war. This is Audie Murphy, Episode 1, Hunt County, Texas, June 20th, 1925. Audie Leon Murphy entered the world in a sharecropper's shack near the town of Kingston. His father, Emmett, picked cotton for other men's profits. His mother, Josie, bore 12 children into crushing poverty. Audie was the 7th child, the middle son in a family that barely had enough food for 3. The Murphy family lived in conditions most Americans today cannot imagine. Their home was a crude wooden structure, more of a shed than a house. No electricity, no indoor plumbing, no glass in the windows, wooden planks with gaps so wide that winter wind howled through the rooms like a living thing. On cold nights, the children huddled together under thin blankets made from flour sacks, shivering until dawn. Breakfast, when there was breakfast, might be cornmeal mush and nothing more. Dinner was often the same. Sometimes there was no dinner at all. The Murphy children wore hand-me-down clothes so worn that patches had patches. They walked barefoot most of the year because shoes were a luxury reserved for the coldest months. Audie's feet developed thick calluses that protected him from rocks and thorns. His body adapted to constant hunger. His stomach stopped growling after a while. Hunger became normal. Fullness became a distant memory. Audie learned to hunt before he learned to read properly. At age 5, his father handed him a rifle, not for sport, for survival. The family needed meat, and bullets were cheaper than store-bought food. Audie became an excellent shot. He had to be. A missed shot meant his brothers and sisters went hungry that night. By age 10, Audie could hit a running rabbit at 50 yards. He could track deer through dense brush. He could skin and clean any animal he killed. He understood the wind. He understood how animals moved. He understood patience. A good hunter waited. A good hunter stayed silent. A good hunter never wasted ammunition. Audie spent entire days in the woods alone. Sometimes he brought home 3 rabbits, sometimes a possum. Once, he killed a wild turkey that fed the family for 2 days. His mother cried with relief when he brought that turkey home. It was one of the few times Audie saw her smile. But the woods also taught Audie something else: solitude. He learned to be comfortable with silence. He learned to trust his own judgment. He learned that survival depended on him and him alone. These lessons would serve him well in a different kind of forest. A forest in France where the prey shot back, but hunting skills alone would not save the Murphy family from what was coming. 1935. The Great Depression strangled America. In Texas, it was worse. Drought turned farmland to dust. Cotton plants withered and died before harvest. Work disappeared. Families that had little now had nothing. Emmett Murphy, already a hard man, became impossible to live with. He drank. He raged. He blamed everyone for his failures. And then, one morning, he was gone. He abandoned his wife and 12 children without warning, without money, without any way to survive. He simply walked away and never came back. Josie Murphy was now alone with 12 mouths to feed. She was sick, possibly with tuberculosis, possibly with something worse. She coughed blood into rags she tried to hide from the children. She worked when she could, picking cotton alongside her older children, dragging a long sack down rows that seemed endless. But her strength faded with each passing month. Her hands bled, her back bent, her cough grew worse. Audie, now 10 years old, became the man of the house. Not because he wanted to be, because he had to be. He dropped out of school after 5th grade. Education was a luxury the Murphys could not afford. Audie needed to work. Every day, he hunted. Every day he brought home rabbits, squirrels, anything with meat on its bones. His younger siblings depended on him. They looked at him with hungry eyes that never blamed him when he came home empty-handed. but Audie blamed himself every time. He also picked cotton when hunting was poor. Bent over in the scorching Texas sun for 12 hours, his hands bled from the sharp cotton bolls. At the end of the day, he earned maybe 50 cents. It was barely enough to buy a loaf of bread, but it was something, and something was better than nothing. The other children in Hunt County went to school, they played, they had childhoods. Audie had a rifle and a responsibility that would have crushed most grown men. He was 11 years old, and then his mother died. 1941. Josie Murphy succumbed to her illness. Audie was 16 years old. With their mother gone and their father long vanished, the Murphy children scattered. Older siblings took the youngest ones. Some went to relatives who barely had room for them. Some went to neighbors who took them out of pity. Audie and his younger brother were sent to an orphanage in Greenville, Texas. The orphanage felt like prison to Audie. Rules, schedules, walls, bells that rang to tell him when to wake, when to eat, when to sleep. He had spent his entire life outdoors, free, hunting in the woods where the only schedule was sunrise and sunset. Now he was trapped behind walls with dozens of other parentless children. The food was regular, but tasteless. The beds were clean, but felt like cages. He lasted only a few weeks before running away. He found work on a farm outside Greenville. The farmer paid him in meals and a place to sleep in the barn. Audie worked from dawn to dusk, plowing fields, feeding animals, mending fences. Then that job ended when the farmer could no longer afford to keep him. Audie moved to another farm, then another. Then he took odd jobs in town, sweeping floors, hauling freight, washing dishes in a diner, anything to survive, anything to stay free, anything to avoid going back to that orphanage. Audie was 17 years old, 5 feet 5 inches tall, 110 pounds. He looked younger than his age. Sickly, some said, weak. A strong wind could blow him over, they joked. But Audie Murphy had never been weak. Poverty had forged him into something harder than the boys who grew up with full bellies and warm beds. He had watched his mother die. He had kept his siblings alive through sheer determination. He had survived when survival seemed impossible. Then, on December 7th, 1941, everything changed. Pearl Harbor, Japanese bombers destroyed the American Pacific Fleet. Thousands dead. The nation reeled in shock and fury. President Roosevelt declared war. America exploded with rage and patriotism. Young men across the country flooded recruitment offices. They wanted revenge. They wanted to fight. They wanted to prove themselves. Audie Murphy was one of them. But Audie did not want glory. He did not want adventure. He did not dream of becoming a hero. He wanted 3 meals a day. He wanted a place to sleep that had a roof. He wanted to send money home to his siblings who were scattered across Texas, still struggling, still hungry. The military offered all of that. So Audie walked into a Marine Corps recruitment office in Dallas. The Marine recruiter sat behind a desk covered with paperwork. He looked up when Audie entered. He saw a skinny kid who barely looked 15. The recruiter asked Audie his age. 18, Audie lied. The recruiter did not believe him. He asked Audie to step on the scale. 110 pounds. The recruiter shook his head. Too small, too skinny, too young looking. The Marines wanted warriors, big men, strong men, men who looked like they could kill the enemy with their bare hands. Audie looked like he would break in half during basic training. Rejected. Next applicant, please. Audie tried the Navy. Perhaps they would take him. Sailors did not need to be big and strong, did they? They worked on ships. They operated machinery. Surely there was a place for someone small. The Navy recruiter looked at Audie's thin frame and shook his head. Sorry, kid. You don't meet our physical standards. Rejected. Next. Audie tried the Army Paratroopers, elite, dangerous. Surely they needed men willing to jump out of airplanes. The paratrooper recruiter measured Audie, 5'5", below minimum height requirement. Paratroopers needed to be taller. Something about equipment fit and weight distribution. The recruiter was polite but firm. Rejected. Next. 3 rejections. 3 branches of the military told Audie Murphy he was not good enough to serve his country. 3 times grown men looked at him and saw weakness. 3 times Audie walked away angry and humiliated, but Audie was not finished. He refused to accept defeat. He had survived 17 years of poverty and hunger and loss. He would find a way into this war. Audie had one option left: the regular army infantry. They were taking almost anyone who could walk and hold a rifle. The infantry was not glamorous, not elite. It was the branch nobody wanted. The branch with the highest casualty rates. The branch where young men went to die in mud and blood. But Audie did not care about glamour. He cared about getting in. But there was still a problem. Audie was only 17. The minimum age for enlistment was 18. Without parental consent, which he could not get because his father had vanished and his mother was dead, Audie could not legally join. He needed his birth certificate altered. His sister helped him. She knew people. She knew how things worked in small Texas towns. Documents could be changed, dates could be adjusted, a little money, a friendly clerk, and suddenly paper said whatever you needed it to say. Audie's birth year shifted from 1925 to 1924. On paper, Audie Leon Murphy was now 18 years old, legal, eligible, ready to serve. June 30th, 1942. Audie Murphy walked into an Army recruitment office in Greenville, Texas. He carried his altered birth certificate folded in his pocket. The recruiter looked at the skinny farm boy standing before him. He looked at the birth certificate. He looked at Audie's hands, calloused and scarred from years of hard labor. He looked at Audie's eyes, which had seen more hardship than most men twice his age. The recruiter asked Audie if he could shoot. "Yes, sir." "Ever killed anything?" "Yes, sir. Hundreds of rabbits, deer, whatever needed killing." The recruiter stamped the papers. Accepted. Private Audie Murphy, United States Army, serial number 1801535. Report to Camp Wolters, Texas for basic training. Do not be late. Boot camp began immediately. The other recruits were bigger, stronger, louder. Farm boys and factory workers and college kids who had never missed a meal in their lives. They mocked Audie, called him baby face, called him too small to carry a rifle, made jokes about him being blown away by the recoil. Even the drill sergeants doubted he would survive training, much less combat. One sergeant pulled Audie aside and suggested he request a transfer to a support role. Cook, clerk, something safe, something behind the lines where his size would not matter. Audie refused. He had not lied his way into the Army to peel potatoes. He would be infantry. He would be a rifleman. He would prove everyone wrong, and he did. Audie excelled at marksmanship. On the rifle range, he outshot men twice his size. He understood wind and distance. He understood patience. He understood how to make every bullet count. The skills he learned hunting rabbits in Texas translated perfectly to hitting targets on an Army range. The drill sergeant stopped doubting him. The other recruits stopped making jokes. But Audie Murphy had survived 17 years of starvation, abandonment, and back-breaking labor. Boot camp was easy compared to his childhood. The Army fed him 3 times a day. The Army gave him a bed. The Army gave him boots. For the first time in his life, Audie Murphy was not hungry. And then, the Army sent him to war. 1943. Private Murphy completed basic training. The Army assigned him to Company B, 1st Battalion, 15th Infantry Regiment, 3rd Infantry Division. Orders came quickly. North Africa, then Sicily, then Italy, combat zones, hot zones, places where young men went to die by the thousands. Audie Murphy, the boy who had been rejected by 3 branches of the military, the boy who was too small and too weak, was now sailing across the Atlantic Ocean toward battlefields soaked in blood. Audie had never left Texas before joining the Army. He had never seen the ocean, never been on a ship, never imagined he would cross an entire ocean to fight in a war on the other side of the world. The transport ship was massive but felt crowded. Hundreds of soldiers packed below deck in tight bunks stacked 3 high. The smell of sweat and vomit and fear filled the air. The ship rolled with the waves. Men got seasick and threw up into buckets. Some played cards to pass the time. Some wrote letters home to mothers and girlfriends. Others stared at nothing. lost in their own thoughts about what waited for them across that ocean. Audie cleaned his rifle. Again and again, he disassembled it, cleaned every part, reassembled it, checked the sights, dry-fired at imaginary targets. He did this for hours every day. He did not talk much. He never had. The other soldiers tried to include him in card games and conversations, but Audie preferred solitude. He thought about his siblings back in Texas. He thought about the money the Army would pay him. $21 a month. He would send most of it home. His brothers and sisters needed it more than he did. They were still hungry, still struggling, still surviving day by day. The Atlantic crossing took 2 weeks. 2 weeks of rolling waves and tight quarters and waiting to arrive, waiting to fight, waiting to find out if all the training would be enough. The ship approached the coast of North Africa. Combat was days away. Audie Murphy, 17 years old, had never killed a man. He had killed hundreds of animals. Rabbits and squirrels and deer and possums. He knew how to aim, how to squeeze the trigger, how to watch something living become something dead. But a man was different. An animal did not have a family. An animal did not have dreams. An animal did not look at you with human eyes before you pulled the trigger. Could he do it? Could Audie Murphy kill another human being? Would he freeze when the moment came? Would his hands shake? Would he vomit like he did the first time he killed a rabbit as a child? Audie did not know. But he would find out soon, very soon, because in 72 hours, German soldiers would be shooting at him, and Audie Murphy would have to shoot back. He would have to pull the trigger, he would have to watch a man fall, and everything would change. The farm boy from Texas who hunted to survive would become something else, something harder, something necessary, something the war demanded. What happened next would change him forever. It would transform him from a boy into a killer, from a survivor into a soldier, from nobody into somebody the entire 3rd Infantry Division would come to respect and fear and rely on. Next episode, Sicily, 1943. The invasion beaches, the first firefight, Audie Murphy's first kill, the moment his friend's head exploded next to him, and the moment a farm boy became a killer who would not stop killing until the war ended or he died trying.